What is one little Glock against an AR-15?
Representative Jones, that's not the bill that's before you, sir. You're out of order.
What our schools need are mental health professionals. We need funding for mental health, for counselors. We need to pay our teachers better. We don't need more police in our schools.
Representative Jones, you're off the bill again, sir. You're out of order. Sorry. Oh, that's two. I'm sorry. We're on the board. That's the second time being out of order today.
Aye, 70, 20 days.
Department of Safety, please clear the balcony for disorderly behavior. It passes.
What's happening is not democratic. It is authoritarianism. It's very troubling what we're witnessing here. You can see that the Capitol is surrounded, by troopers. And this does not look like a democratic body anymore.
You woke? Time to get up. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Thought You Awoke No Speed Limit Podcast. I am your host, Alvin. I hope you guys are having a terrific day. While the circus around Trump's newest indictment in Fulton County, Georgia, has the media all tied up in knots, democracy is still on the brink of destruction, especially in state and local governments. Let me give you an example. Representative Jones, a member of the Tennessee State Legislature, was silenced under a new decorum guidelines. Apparently, the Speaker of the House ruled Justin Jones out of order twice, and that led to automatically triggering a vote to silence Representative Jones for the remainder of the day. Now, Jones was speaking at the time about gun violence, about things that we need and don't need in the schools. Now, according to the Speaker of the House, this was irrelevant to the charge. Now, the Tennessee Assembly was in a special session called by Tennessee Governor to pass an order of protection following a mass shooting earlier this year in which 3 adults and 3 children were killed at a school in Nashville. Now, you tell me if this doesn't sound like it was relevant, what he was saying. Jones was opposed to a bill that would allow teachers and staff to bring guns to the school. Apparently, whatever he was saying was considered out of order by the Speaker of the House. And he did it twice. So then there was a vote of no confidence against him. Basically, a vote to silence him, and they silenced him. Now, the legislative session ended with no resolution on the issue. Now, there's 2 things you can say. Justin Jones was just a victim of circumstance. They were trying to find a way to cause chaos to give a reason why the vote would not happen. Or we can see it on the other hand, this was racist. Because this ain't the first time Jones and another member have been in the news. So, Representative Jones in Nashville, along with Representative Justin Pearson of Memphis, were expelled earlier this year for supposedly causing a disturbance in the chambers. Jones, Pearson, and Representative Gloria Johnson were put up for a vote of expulsion after the 3 stood at the assembly podium with a bullhorn and spoke out of turn, supposedly indicting the public that had gathered there. They were protesting the Tennessee legislative body's lack of action following the Nashville school shooting, and any efforts to prevent future shootings. So, in other words, they've been in trouble before. But here's the thing: there were 3 people there. It's kind of strange that the 3 people that were there, the 2 that were expelled were black. Justin Jones and Pearson. Gloria, on the other hand, was saved. Oh, she didn't do what they did. That's what they said. But she was standing at the podium with him. She was speaking out, too. So, Jones and Pearson were both later put back in their seats after a special election elected both men back to their seats. Jones could face further sanctions when the legislative session continues. In other words, they could permanently silence him for the rest of his term. That is part of what their new decorum laws are. This is what I'm talking about, the end of democracy, because I was watching another video today. It was talking about the protests a couple years ago in Hong Kong, where the Chinese decided, hey, you know what? what we need to do is put a committee together. This is the democratic process to select who will be governor. Therefore, we will select who you get to vote for. And the people there are like, oh, no, we get to decide who we vote for because that's what we've done before because that's Democrat. See, let's be honest with you. I don't like Western values like that. I do like Western values, but I like certain elements of Western values like democracy, the idea of democracy. And especially British democracy where the people vote for who will be in power, what party will be in power. They give them a majority. Then they also do ranked choice voting of which candidates will sit in what seats, right? So that's unique. See, that's what's wrong with America. Let me give you an example. There are several pending lawsuits against state legislatures for their efforts to secure votes for their party by gerrymandering maps, giving themselves majority districts in states. Now, if you don't think that's... We keep saying, oh, that's not similar to the communism. That's very similar to communism. Because communism or fascism, any totalitarian state, the party in power pretty much decides how elections will go by who gets to be elected. Sometimes they just ignore the vote altogether. So remember, the party in power not only controls what districts and who we vote for, but they also control elections. Alabama is a prime example. Alabama's ongoing lawsuit in which black voters contend that black voters make up 27% of the population. Supreme Court said, yes, you're right, they do. But they only have one congressional district right now, so that's why the Supreme Court ruled that they in favor of the black voters and required Alabama to redraw the districts to add an additional congressional district for black voters. In defiance of this rule, the Republican-controlled state legislature drew a district that weakened the black vote in one district down, which was 55% in that one district, down to 50%, and increased another by only 45%. In other words, the black population is 45% in that one and 50% in the other one. And this is what they said. They said, well, a well-funded candidate would have the same opportunity. Like I said, again, I have a problem with a system where you allow the party that wins to decide how seats are allocated. Well, they're duly elected. That's democracy. That's democracy. No, the democracy ended when you put a representative in power and then he gets to decide whether his party stays in power or not. That's where that ended. See, that's what they're doing. They have decided to rule where it's okay. We get to draw the districts, and we're going to do this fairly. We're going to give ourselves a majority and give you one seat. You guys, you Democrats are okay. You black folks, you're fine. This is how democracy dies in America. And it's been dying ever since this has been allowed. We should not allow the... If you're going to do it this way, you should have a bipartisan committee that sets up the districts. Bipartisan. That means an equal number of both parties in that particular situation. And then, of course, there's going to be some third party that's going to say, hey, what about us? Well, since right now there's only two majority parties that really make up any sense, let's just say those two. We set up a bipartisan committee and let them, but that's not what happens. No. Not in every state. Now, there's some states that have a bipartisan committee, but since every state is allowed to set this up the way they want to, that's why we're seeing these majority red states. We're not seeing a fair system. If we created a fair system, I think we would see a change. And that's what these parties fear. See, it's the same thing that's happening in red states is happening in blue states. New York, Detroit, and Michigan. They also gerrymander the district to make sure they have more Democrats in their assembly. That keeps the Republicans out. See what I'm saying? So, my issue with the whole thing is, my whole issue with the whole situation is this. It's undemocratic. That's why I said we need to go to a parliamentary style where people vote. So if the majority says we want 75% of the seats to go to Republicans and 25% of the seats to go to Democrats, it's done by voting. Then, okay, we're fine with it. But the people have decided that. If the Democrats, like I think they would in Alabama, they probably get about 34% of the vote. That means they get 34% of the seats. So that's about 3 or 4 seats. That's about 3 seats. And the rest of it would go to the Republican Party and still have a majority of Republican districts. Then we got ranked choice voting, so we seat the candidates according to that rank choice. So if we got 3 Democrats that are the top 3 Democrats, those 3 would take those seats. The top 4 Republicans in there would take those seats. That's fine. I am okay with that. Not the system we currently have, because what it does is tell each party they have a right to write the rules for how the districts are voted. Oh, it's going to work out because at some point the Democrats are going to. But if a party can write another party all the way off the screen, that's undemocratic. Our system is backwards. So then we get to the situation like what happens with Justin Jones, because Republicans in the state of Tennessee have had a majority for a long time. Now, yes, you can say, well, they used to be Democrats. But those Democrats switched party when the party decided that he wanted this, the Democrats wanted to fight for civil rights, right? Once they did that, it was over for those guys, and they went to the Republican Party. Now that they're in the Republican Party and they got a majority, they're going to do everything to make sure they snuff out the Democratic Party and keep up the states' rights at all costs. That's what they do. Now, I can give you another example if you want it, and it comes to this one. Another more disturbing example is happening in Alabama. State Attorney General Steve Marshall has told the courts he has the right to prosecute those who help Alabama women get abortions out of the state. Alabama law bans abortion of all forms, including risk to the life of the mother and rape and incest. A lawsuit now pending in Alabama court contends that this type of prosecution is a violation of a person's First Amendment rights for freedom of expression. So in other words, if a woman decides to go to another state and have an abortion, they can't prosecute her for that. But if you help her, she needs money. So this is how you hurt poor families. Where women want to make decisions in poor families. You tell them that, nobody can help you. You want to go somewhere and get an abortion. It may be a life-threatening thing. You may have been raped. It doesn't matter. You're going to have the baby. Now, I'm not a fan of abortion. Please don't think I'm a fan of abortion. I hate abortion. I personally hate abortion. But the case of incest, rape, of the life and the risk of the mother, those are important things. So if she decides to go to another state, this is how poverty hurts in our state. Because in our state, poor black women, period, are more likely 4 times more likely to die in childbirth than white women. So now here you are, Steve Marshall, deciding that I'm going to prosecute those who help you in any kind of way. So this woman says, I need to go because it may be a medical problem. I need to go over here to, I'm trying to think of a state that's nearby that may have a legal, Ohio. So I'm going to go to Ohio, and it's legal to get an abortion there, but I don't have the money. So family members help her out. Those family members are now at risk of prosecution. That's not right in any kind of way. Again, our democracy is in trouble. We can think about other things, how our schools are being educated. See, because we've got these majority drawn up districts, now we got these legislatures that are talking about, let's rewrite the history books. Let's not tell the truth about history anymore. Let's do that. Democracy is dying. Truth is dying. I forgot to bring this one up. In Texas, so Houston's had been struggling with their grades. So when the state of Texas decided to take over the schools, guess what they did? They shut down the libraries at schools and turned them into discipline centers. In other words, here we go, straight to prison pipeline, school to prison pipeline. We're going to start it right here. Instead of having them a place, because the problem is their grades are low, instead of having them a place where they can read books, we need to discipline them. We need to put them in discipline centers. We don't need to educate them. We need to discipline them because they're stupid and they want to be stupid, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep them stupid. And most of them are black and Latino there in Houston. Most of them are black and Latino. So we know the game that's being played with our democracy. They're out to destroy it for a certain group of people. Like I said, the same people we sit here every day, these Republicans, some Democrat. They control a state. So the other voices are stamped out. That is not how democracy works. There's always a voice of opposition. Now the only thing the opposition can do is do like I do, get a microphone and talk against what is going on, because we're creating a fascist / communist authoritarian state, starting with our local and federal governments. The city of Birmingham several years ago tried to put a $10 minimum wage just in the city of Birmingham. The state snuffed it out. The attack on democracy is real. And we set it up through our government and how we decided that gerrymandering was a good idea. This system is failed. The system we have set up, the federal system we have set up, has failed. We need to revamp it immediately. Democracy cannot die this way. Folks, I'm all out of time. Just remember this. We must bring back true democratic rule. Hey folks, thank you for watching today's show. I hope you enjoyed the show. And please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share with your friends. Peace. You have been listening to Thought You Were Woke No Speed Limit Podcast.